Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Appraisal Buzzcast. I'm Jim Morrison. Our host is Hal Humphreys. Hey, Hal, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing great. We're having a good time here. We have a really fun guest today and somebody that we haven't had on before, but we should have. But we're really excited to have Joel Baker from Alamode on for the first time. Hey, Joel.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Man, it's going good, Joel. I am absolutely tickled to have you with us today. You and I have gotten better acquainted over the last 6 months. I'm sure we've run across each other over the years, but one of the things that hits me is you have this almost unnatural ability to explain pretty complicated things to people, and I enjoy that. And I think you've got one of the biggest voices in this industry through your podcast, your tech tips through Alamode. This is our first time being lucky enough to have you on the Buzzcast. So just in case there are any listeners out there that don't know who Joel Baker is, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into this industry. Just give us a little history on Joel.
Oh, wow. You're going to make me blush. Hal. Okay. I've been at Alamode for 21 years at this point. So I've been around for a while. Taught high school before that, believe it or not, for a couple of years. Doesn't pay a lot of money, so I switched over to the technology stuff. I walked in May 19th, 2003, walked in through the door of Alamode. I didn't even know what an appraiser was, let alone that appraisers existed. And I really just learned everything from the ground up. For those of you who are my customers, I started when we were using the Athena product. And one of the biggest things that I was doing was help appraisers figure out what on earth a PDF was and how to send that as an attachment via email. So I go back not quite to the rub-on days, but yeah, everything was, you had the laser printer for the black and white and the laser printer for the colored maps and photos. Yeah, it was great. Good times. I've done all kinds of stuff with Alamode. I currently work with the product team. And so all the stuff that we work on, I'm sort of like, I get excited about, but I'm really the voice of the appraiser, sort of an advocate for appraisers, really in the product team, as it were. And I do a lot of training. I spend about half my time working on training for appraisers, and I've taught over the years when we had the acquisition of Alamode by CoreLogic back in, 2018. At that time, we tallied up everybody that I'd taught, and I'd taught over 8,000 appraisers individually in person, with another 5,000 or 6,000 on top of that via webinars at the time. So I'm in the tens of thousands, and most of my customers probably recognize my face. Sadly, I apologize for that, or my voice in the videos that I've made. Over 500 at this point. I'm almost at 300 just in tech tips. I'm going to hit that later this year, the 300 mark, which I can't imagine doing 300 of anything, but here we are.
Here we are. And I got to say, one of the things, I am an Alamode user, and one of the things that I've always loved about the product is the support that you guys provide, the way you allow Alamode members to reach out and ask questions and answer them. And there's always a follow-up email after the fact saying, how did we do? And it doesn't feel like it's this perfunctory, AI thing. It feels like there's really somebody asking, how do we do and how can we improve? So I'm a big fan. I think you guys do good work, and the training aspect I think is critical. And that's what we're going to get into today, just a little bit. But before we do that, I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear from one of our sponsors, and we will be right back.
The Dictionary of Real Estate Appraisal, 7th edition, is a landmark text that reflects the depth and breadth of appraisal knowledge. Each entry, definition, and reference has been painstakingly researched and designed to reflect an expert understanding of issues that currently impact the profession. The new dictionary is an essential authoritative resource for all appraisers. The dictionary is divided into 2 sections, an alphabetical listing of terms directly related to real estate appraisal, and an addendum with topical glossaries and compilations of terms used by related real estate professionals. Find it at appraisalinstitute.org/dictionary7.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Appraisal Buzzcast. I'm Hal Humphreys, your host, and I'm joined today by Joel Baker from a la Mode. You know, Joel, there are a lot of changes coming down the slide or coming out of the fire hose for real estate appraisers, not the least of which is the new UAD coming down from the GSEs. Do you anticipate some training around the new UAD and what it means for appraisers?
I absolutely do. It's going to be a fairly large shift, I think, in workflow. So we were all around, most of us that were here in 2011 remember how big of a shift it was. And we were still using the same form, right? It was just, we're going to take the data set, we're going to change it, and we're going to, add a couple of things to it and shoehorn a bunch of stuff into the existing form. Well, now, in addition to changing the data set, we're also changing the way the report's laid out. Forms go away, essentially, and the report ends up being really just as long as it needs to be, and in the shape and size and everything else to accommodate whatever the data set is for that particular property and problem for the customer and all of that, whatever the scope says it's going to be. And so I do see a lot of training coming up for appraisers. It's going to be, we got a while, we've got at least a year for most of us before we're going to start putting it into practice. But you're going to see a lot of stuff come out from a la Mode about UAD.
And with the changes, I mean, I've talked to some appraisers. I know you have talked to some appraisers around the country. Some of the folks that I've talked to have said, yeah, I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I think they're probably not wrong about that, but this is a fairly substantial change in the workflow and how we do the work.
It certainly is. One of the biggest things is that the report and the data set are significantly more dynamic this time around, which means that the amount, number, type, and individual pieces that you're going to have to collect in the field, including photos, is going to change. Not just how it's presented and where it goes on the quote unquote forms in the report. And so it's going to be structured differently that way, but just the sheer amount of memorization that one would have to do to, well, if this happens, then I'm going to need to do this. And if it's at a public road, do I need to take a picture? Or if it's, gravel road, does it need this? And what do I do if I, notice that the casement windows have a crack in it? And where does that photo go? And do I have to take the photo? And in what cases do I need a picture of the carbon monoxide or the smoke detector, and where do those go? I mean, it's just the sheer number of micro changes to things that you're already doing now anyway, but where they go and how that data is collected. It's a big shift. And I honestly think that for most appraisers right now, if you're not mobile, using a mobile tool to do that data collection, to take the pictures and put them in the right spot, you're going to be doing a lot more manual work. You can still do it, if with a point and shoot camera and a clipboard. I mean, there's no reason it won't work. It's just going to be a lot more difficult here in 2 or 3 years when we're pumping these out.
Yeah, and it's again, I've used the word. It's a colossal change in the way we do business, and I think this kind of leads up to the next segment that we're going to do. We're going to talk in some detail about mobile, but before we get there, what can appraisers do to prepare for these changes coming?
I would say sign up for and watch the interviews. I've been interviewing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac a handful of times already, including my product managers, about what we're working on and what's coming up there. Just get familiar with changes in the technology and changes in the expectations for what your clients are looking for. Because the clients are going to have, AMCs, lenders, underwriters, all the checks, that all the appraisals go through, all the way from the clipboard to the portal, right? Yeah. Everything changes. And so it's going to take a little while, pay attention, learn now, go mobile now, so that you cut down the learning curve. Just sign up to keep abreast of what's going on. And if you are one of my customers, of course, you can go to alamo.com/UAD and sign up for notifications and watch our videos that we have and links to the GSE documentation and others as it comes. We'll keep that landing page updated for you.
Very good, very good. And here at the Appraisal Buzz, we fairly regularly will check in with the GSEs and bring information as they have it regarding what's going to be happening with the new UAD and the training associated with that. So look, it's going to be an interesting couple of years for appraisers. There will be a learning curve for the new thing, but in terms of getting ready for what's next, Joel and I are going to dive into that in the next segment. But before we get there, let's hear from our other commercial sponsor for this episode.
LIA Administrators and Insurance Services, serving valuation professionals since 1978. We provide E&O insurance with a commitment to superior customer service, outstanding liability education, and unmatched claim defense, benefiting over 10,000 real estate professionals nationwide. Explore our exclusive Appraiser Liability Education by Peter Christensen and cost-effective seminars designed to foster your growth. Our underwriters, with an average of 26 years of experience each, are dedicated to supporting appraisers. Visit liability.com to discover how LIA can safeguard your business.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Appraisal Buzzcast. I'm Hal Humphreys, your host, and I'm joined today by Joel Baker from A La Mode. We have been talking about what to expect coming up with the new UAD. We've been talking about how to prepare yourself for the new UAD. I got to say, I am absolutely thrilled to announce that we are going to be partnering with Joel Baker and CoreLogic, A La Mode, to bring some education in a live classroom setting. Our first offering is the 2nd and 3rd of August. Is that right, Joel?
That's right.
2nd and 3rd of August. And what we're going to do is we're going to be presenting day one, the Appraiser's Guide to Appraisal Inspections. I will be teaching that. And we're going to cover some broad brush issues of appraisal inspections. And we will touch on some things that you need to think about as an appraiser. But day two, Joel will be teaching in a live classroom setting, and we'll be talking about mobile appraising, specifically scan to sketch, which is an A La Mode product. So, Joel, the question a lot of people have about this is your class all about scan to sketch?
It certainly features scan to sketch, but it is not all about scan to sketch. It actually does cover the three main pieces of going mobile. There's the data collection, there's the photos, and there's the sketching, obviously. Now, I do spend the bulk of that time doing the sketching. One of the things, Hal, that we figured out right away when we started working on scan to sketch, first of all, it's a feature of Total for mobile. So if you have a device like an iPad or an iPhone Pro or Pro Max, from the last, I think, 4 generations for each of those, it supports the scan to sketch feature in Total for mobile. You just download the app and open a report, go to the sketcher, and it's in the very upper right hand corner to launch it, by the way. So it's not anything you download extra. If your device supports it, it's available to you. And if you're an A La Mode customer, of course, it's included in any package, including the silver membership. You don't have to pay extra for it or download anything extra. If your device supports it and you're an A La Mode customer, you're good to go. Nothing extra there. But one of the things that we realized when we started putting it together and we were doing the exterior measurements, unlike some of the others that are out there that do interior measurements, we realized that appraisers didn't want to send it to, overseas somewhere and have somebody who's not an appraiser decide what's right or wrong and then send it back as an image like the next day and then pay for that, for the privilege of waiting for a day. We have a sketcher. We have an actual sketcher in the mobile tool itself already that thousands of appraisers use every single day to, when you're on the site. So we realized, and this is probably the biggest piece of this, is that once you're done using the device to the camera to wave it around the property, basically, and get the measurements using the camera, we put it right into the sketcher for you immediately while you're on site. So you can compare to the property record card and assessor information if you've got it. You can make changes to it if it didn't square up the way you expected, or if you need to merge areas, or whatever the case. You have access to change it and make it right, so that you have the measurements and the sketch that you need as an appraiser before you get back in the truck to leave for the inspection. You have it right then, and it's not extra. It's just all part and parcel of what you've already bought from us.
And for appraisers who have not switched to a mobile inspection process, using either an iPad or an iPhone, I am partial to the iPhone just because I don't like carrying a lot of big kit around with me. This class also touches on the broad brush issues of mobile appraising.
It does. Some of the functions. Now, a lot of it is, of course, in the app. But as an example, probably the longest section, not probably, the longest section is a hands-on, how do I make a sketch? And you've got to learn how the sketcher works, how to draw walls, how to do angles and curves and manually. So if you can't do it manually, then you can't fix it if you need to from the scan to sketch side of things. So we've got to actually teach it. So we're going to bring some of our technicians and everybody in the room. You're going to pull up whatever device you have, an iPhone, an iPad, whatever it is, and we're going to walk through. Everybody in the room is going to walk through creating a 6,000 square foot plus, multi-level property with angles and curves and cutouts and open to belows and cutting out the missing piece from the treads for ANSI compliance, all that kind of stuff, right? It's all of a piece to learn the tool, really, and learn about photos and of course form filling, taking the data itself.
And we're going to be offering a live virtual version of this, and I would suggest that is also going to be very interactive. I understand, number one, we will have people from our staff there to answer questions and to moderate, but you're going to have people available on staff moderating the Zoom portion of the classroom to answer questions as they go. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to have some of our technicians that you speak with on the phones. They're going to be there. They're going to be here in the office and part of that Zoom class.
Okay, good. And then what do you expect to be the surprising things appraisers will learn when they adopt to mobile? What are some of the surprises that people that switch to mobile realize?
There's a handful of things that, as you might suspect, that are really a surprise. Probably the biggest one is about the photos. So give me just a second on this, because I'm gonna paint a picture here. Your process right now, usually, if you have a point and shoot camera or your iPhone that you're out on an inspection with, whether you do clipboard notes or you do it in total for mobile or whatever, a lot of appraisers, they just still take it into, they still take all their photos in a camera roll, and then they bring the camera or the phone back into the office. They open total, they open the report, right? You connect the camera or you take the card out and put it in the card reader. You fire up the report, go to the Photos Power View, launch the window that opens up the import, click the import button, and then you click the load previews and it shows you the photos, and then you use the pull down menu and say, this is this address and this is this address, front, rear, street, kitchen, bed, bath, whatever it is. And then once you've marked everything, you hit the button at the top that says import. So it imports them all into your database and shows them to you in the middle of the screen, and then you drag and drop from the center to where the photos are going to live in the report. Okay.
Now, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. So
sure.
Back in the day when I was doing that process alone, taking photos off the camera, getting into the computer, importing, identifying them, marking them, moving them to the report, that takes several minutes to do.
It does, per report.
Okay. Yeah.
Per report. It adds up. Right. And most appraisers spend based on our calculations that we did about 10 years ago when we bulked up this feature, the photos in total for mobile, is most appraisers spend this process of labeling photos and moving them around and getting them into the reports, maybe editing them every now and then, whatever. Spend 10, 15, 20 minutes
30
per
minutes.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah, some, yeah. And
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's just not an uncommon thing, 30, 20, 30 minutes, just isn't. But that's at 7 or 8 reports a week. That's 2 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
How
So
that's a day a month, right? I mean, that's
that's
and here's the thing. Let me back up for just a second. With total for mobile, that process, every piece that I mentioned, every single thing that I went through is completely moot with the mobile process. You won't do that again. Like the entire process completely shifts away from that manual. We know what the address is. We know what's in the report. You take the photo, the street photo, where it goes.
Yeah.
In the report, you put the bathroom here, you put the bedroom here, you put the front here, and it just knows. And it's properly labeled. It goes into the database. It goes into the reports. It's automatically optimized. I mean, unless you need to blur your own face out of the mirror in the bathroom, we've all been there, then you're done. Like you take the photo, you don't even have to think about it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's just a shift.
It's difficult. It's a shift. It's a change. And a lot of people do not like change. But the first time I used mobile, I was totally frustrated with it. Total for mobile. It just drove me nuts. But I committed to doing it 10 times at the advice of a friend. And after the 10th time, my appraisal life had changed because I'm using the iPhone to take the photos. They go in the right spot right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not literally pitching total for mobile right now. I'm just saying the process was that easy and it made sense, and it's happening in real time as you're at the property. So look, I think this is going to be a really good chance for appraisers who are total users who have never gone over to mobile to get a live in-person chance to get hands-on training on that kind of stuff. If you can't make it to Oklahoma, you can join us in a Zoom version of the class. It will be done at the same time, in the same room. We're going to show you how to do these things. And again, I will say Joel is a fantastic instructor. Our first in-person partnership is going to be in Oklahoma on August 2nd and 3rd. You'll get 14 hours of in-person or virtual CE if you attend both days of the class. The first day is the appraiser's guide to the appraisal inspection. Second day is mobile appraising, scan to sketch, something like that.
It's scan to sketch.
And it's just a really good, I would say, even if you're not a total user, understanding the process of mobile applications and how to use it in appraisal could be an incredibly useful thing for you. Which leads me to the question, does someone have to be a total user to sign up for these classes?
They don't. You can actually get a great deal of benefit out of just watching, other folks go through the process. And we do get folks who use the classes that we teach, including the mobile stuff, since it's hands-on training, use it as a stepping stone to switch away from whatever they have been using. Like if they're on the fence or whatever, they come to the class and they're like, let me just see what this is all about. And then they come and join us for real, permanently.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this. All right, so I'm an appraiser out there. I have not really considered doing mobile appraising, using technology to work into my workflow. What do I need to bring to this class if I'm going to do this class?
That's a great question. Your device is going to be probably the first thing charged. And, like I said, we're going to all practice total for mobile sketching. It's going to be the biggest piece of it. I will say, how it's always fun to talk about the new technology. There's nothing wrong with a clipboard and some graph paper. I mean, you're still going to get a sketch, right? And you're going to have to, of course, completely redo that again when you get back in Apex or whatever. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's just I would encourage the appraisers who haven't yet adopted the mobile I want you to ask yourself this question. When am I going to stop doing what works in order to do what works better? We've all said to ourselves, and I know I do this all the time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But sometimes you have to switch that around, and you have to query yourself and say, when am I going to stop doing A, even though it works, to do B, which may work better? It may not. And it may not be the mobile may not be a switch for everybody. It's just not going to be. But for many of you, it really is. And it's going to help you out, and it's going to be a good process for you now. And it's really going to save your bacon 2 or 3 years from now when you're trying to learn the new data set.
Yeah. And, here's the thing. If you're a listener to the Buzzcast, you know that I have products that I'm a fan of that I do not take any money from marketing. And I say, hey, I use this product and here's why. And I will say this. I'm a fan of Win Total. I've made the joke in the past that it's the worst software in the world except for all the others. Look, this appraisal business there are some funky things that we do as real estate appraisers. I'm very much hopeful that with the rollout of the new UAD and with the build of Total for mobile to match that report building process and not trying to shoehorn things into a form Joel, my dad got those forms glue bound with a worm stapled to them. This isn't just a new ball game. It's a new sport. So if you're reticent about going mobile, I'm going to say at this point, really consider going mobile. And if you're going to do that, regardless of the software that you're going to use to do your reports, I can say that Joel is a fantastic instructor. He has a really good knack for helping people understand complicated things. Join us in Oklahoma. Check out Scan to Sketch. Check out the mobile appraising process. Join me for the appraiser's guide to the appraisal inspection. Look, you get to get really good quality education. We probably won't have any fun with it at all, will we, Joel?
Not at all. That's going to be boring drive.
We will have fun over the 2-day period, and you'll go away with 14 hours of continuing education in the process. Joel Baker, a la mode, thank you for taking the time to be with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to bring Jim Morrison back in real quick. Jim, how did we do?
You guys did great. We are going to put the links in the comments below so that people can click the link and get to it easy. I will agree with Joel completely. Like, go mobile now. They say when you're doing a lifetime change, don't do it all at the same time. Get the mobile part under your belt now before all the data set stuff comes in. It's not like you want to start dieting, stop drinking, stop smoking all on the same day. You want to space it out. Well, so
thank goodness I don't have to do all those on the same day. That would be rough.
It won't work if you try and do it all at the same time. So take advantage of that and go mobile now.
Yeah. Joel, anything else you want to say about the class we're going to be hosting together?
Just come get you some, everybody. We're here. It's been 4 years since I've done some in-person training since pre-COVID. And I'm really excited to meet you all and see your faces again, those of you who I've seen before. So come on out to Oklahoma City and join us.
Join us. And look, I don't know about you, Joel, but we've had conversations over the past several months kind of prepping for this and getting ready for it. Do you think appraisers should wait until the last minute to sign up for this?
I would not. In fact, I've got, I'm not supposed to say this, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but we've sort of got like this betting ring informally here about how long it's going to take us to sell out these seats. And I'm going to go for, I don't know, a day or two, probably. No, I'm kidding. It'll be fast. We have a long and storied history of selling out our live events in the hundreds. And so sooner rather than later, for sure.
Yes. Sign up sooner than later. We will be tell us exactly where in Oklahoma we're going to be.
So it's in a downtown area called Bricktown, and it's the Hilton Garden Inn, which is right behind the AAA team for the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Oklahoma City Baseball Club is right behind.
Well, that's August 2nd and 3rd. I am very much looking forward to the trip, looking for the time with you, Joel. Jim Morrison, do we by chance have an anonymous appraiser question that we need to try and answer?
Yes, Joel, before we let you off the hook, our anonymous appraiser questions come in from our audience. This one was on YouTube. It says, Buzzcast, thanks for the good info. I have a question. If you have a subject property, 1,500 square feet, and a comp for 1,700 square feet, all the rest being equal, however, the footprint on the larger home is obviously a lot more square footage to accommodate the property. So when you're doing the adjustment on living space, do you also do an adjustment on the land? Isn't that double dipping?
Are you sure a realtor didn't ask that question?
It might be. It's on our YouTube comments.
That should answer the question. I mean, you've got to be aware, obviously, of double dipping. That's why we don't just straight adjustments for dollars per square foot, which is always the question, right? So it depends on how you're going to do it. But Hal, I'm going to let you answer that one.
Well, no, I think look, the answer that we give a lot of times is it depends. But I would say that if you're looking at the subject building, right, the house itself compared to another house, and you've got X number of dollars a square foot that you're looking at for each one of those properties, your adjustment is going to include some of the issues associated with the land. It's just going to, because the land is included in the overall sales price. If there is a greater issue with the land, say, the 1,700 square foot property also has 3 acres as opposed to the subject's 1,500 square foot property that has 1 acre, you're going to have some other issues to deal with on the land part. And to avoid double dipping, the appraiser needs to be able to articulate what they're doing and why they're doing it. It's not unheard of to have an adjustment for site size and an adjustment for GLA differences. There's probably not enough detailed information in this question to really answer it fully. But at the end of the day, it's the appraiser's job to decide what the right thing to do is, number one, and number two, say what they did and tell why they did it. If you do those 3 things, you're probably going to be okay either way. And I think I've totally just kind of tiptoed all the way around Robin Hood's barn to say, it's your job, figure it out.
The answer is always it depends, right?
Always it depends, especially in a question like this. Morrison, next week, our request is a very easy anonymous appraiser question.
All right. Yeah, we need some of those.
Joel, thanks for being here. Jim, do we have anything else that we need to cover?
No, Joel, we're really looking forward to the class. Make sure to put me down for the under on that bet as well. I'll join the pool. We really appreciate it. We're looking forward to it.
And if we have nothing else, I'm Hal Humphreys on behalf of Joel Baker from A La Mode and Jim Morrison, our gracious host. That is your Appraisal Buzzcast for this week.